Okay.
Oh, hey, the
Uh,
stream is live.
yeah, the first time it was
Solid.
like going, 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 and then went error occurred. Wait a moment, try again. Okay,
All right. I see you live on Twitch. Awesome.
sweet. Oh no, now I have hiccups. Why? Why does the hiccups started like right as we went
Yeah,
live.
yeah. We're just,
Perfect.
no hiccups at every moment, right up until going live. Go live, hiccups. Easy.
Wonderful. Perfect, perfect timing. Love it. Okay. Yes, I should check my. Wait, I still have this. Stream manager. Okay, good. We're live. All right. Okay. Sweet. Um. Okay. Was there anything else that you felt like we needed to add?
I don't think so. I think we're
Okay.
good.
I mean, again, like I feel like I say this every week. I'm sure there's stuff that I missed because, apparently a lot of things happen with card games, especially when we
Oh, wait.
talk about a ton of them.
Um,
What I
there's
missed.
just one thing in Hearthstone, just a Masters Tour winner who was
Oh yeah.
previously a guest on our show. No big deal. Just noticed that one.
See, I
Everything else,
knew.
I think we're good.
I knew there was something I missed.
Yeah,
And again, there's probably other things that I didn't
that'll
include
be
in our notes
fine.
at some point. It's like, oh well. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
Right. Welcome to episode 39 of the TCCG Roundtable. We are your hosts, dragonrider and RonMexico. How's it going?
Hey, hey, it's going great. How are you doing?
Good, good. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been several weeks since we have recorded, which feels unfortunate, but also at the same time, it's like uh we had BlizzCon, and then like the week before that, it was just like we have basically like a less than a week until we're leaving for BlizzCon. And the week before that, I thought it was a good idea to get my flu shot, COVID shot, run a bunch of errands, and then go out and be driving around and working all at the same time. And turns
Genius.
out that was not a good idea. And
What?
I
No,
guess I
you're
got
kidding.
sick, and
You
so
did?
that, yeah, yeah. So I was like,
Shocking.
Ron, I don't think I can record. I'm gonna be in bed for the night, and I did. I was pretty
No.
much sleeping off and on. Like I would sleep for a few hours, literally like wake up, let the dogs outside, go back to bed. Oh, I like maybe like drink a half a water bottle, go to sleep for another few hours, and that's what I did for 36 hours straight.
It's a
like
move.
I did not feel good. So yes. So apologies everybody for that. But I will say one nice thing that did happen, besides all the cool stuff we're going to talk about, in those couple of weeks, Twitch also made the change where we can stream to multiple platforms, and it's allowed now. So we're back
True.
to Twitch and YouTube. Yay!
You love to see it.
Yes. So yes, anyways, that's I guess what I've been up to the last few weeks. What have you been up to?
It's been fairly busy on my end too. So Michelle's been, working hard at the hospital, and sleep schedules have been all over the place lately, which is, an adjustment to make. So we're getting more into the rhythm of that. And then as I'm getting into the rhythm of that, go ahead and throw it all off course and go out to California for a week. BlizzCon was fantastic, but before going to BlizzCon, I wanted to make the most of the trip. My brother and parents and my brother's partner and their kids, they all live in Berkeley, California. So I was like, all right, well, BlizzCon's early November. I can go in late October. I can get to spend Halloween with the kids and go trick or treating and all that good stuff. So, like, did a whole like family vacation. Got to see everybody. It was a blast. the niece and nephew were adorable in their witch, and it was part Bowser, part Gecko costume for the 3-year-old boy. He's I don't really know. Basically, he was just like a lizard thing. It was like, rawr! He was doing that a lot. It was very cute. I went as a pirate. I was like, all right, I got really long hair. That'll probably work, you know. And yeah, it was just fun. It was a fun time. It's the first time I've actually done like a Halloween with like door-to-door trick-or-treating since I was a kid. So it was an interesting, fun experience to go with the children.
That's so much fun. And then you went to BlizzCon and did like
And
what
then
essentially,
BlizzCon.
what essentially felt the nerdy adult version of trick or treating, like going hall to hall,
Exactly.
like what are we seeing in this
Yeah.
hall? What next one? What are we seeing over here? What goodies can we
Nope.
find? What pictures can we take over here? Like,
Still Halloween, just different.
yeah, exactly.
Still going trick-or-treating, just a different time. Yeah.
Yes. Well, speaking of BlizzCon, we definitely will be spending our roundtable topic this week talking about BlizzCon, talking about Hearthstone, the experience, because we were both there at BlizzCon. So we're going to spend a good portion of the show talking about that. So let's go ahead and jump into our term of the week. What do we have this week, Ron?
All right. So term of the week, we're talking about it has multiple different terms: golden, signature, alternate art, foil, holographic. Whether it's a physical game or digital game, all it really means is like an upgraded cosmetic version of the card in question. It doesn't change anything in terms of gameplay. You don't have to have this type of card to have any advantage in any way, except perhaps a mental advantage when your opponent's like, oh, look at how shiny their cards are, and they get intimidated or something, you know? But it's just like a cool, fun thing for people who enjoy like the game and the art of the game to get some either alternate depictions of like what is on the card itself, or in the case of Hearthstone, sometimes with like golden cards, it's the same art, but it's animated and shinier, and it's cool, and I like it. So I wind up occasionally making certain decks all gold if I really like them, just so it's all shiny and fun, but it's a purely cosmetic thing. It usually winds up boosting the I guess the profits of the game itself, which if you can afford to do that and you like the thing, it's always a good idea to try to improve what the game is earning so the game can be more sustainable so you can enjoy it more and so on. But yeah, that's golden cards, signature cards, so on in a nutshell.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that, like you mentioned, like there's different terms for it. And depending on how the game does it, they might be slightly different. But it seems like every card game has some version or a couple different versions. And they are oftentimes very popular. And in terms of like physical card games, some of them can be like very, very sought after. With physical games, right? There's often also you can buy cards individually or things like that. So those cards end up also being a little bit more pricey sometimes too.
Oh yeah.
I guess even in like the digital games, if you're able to craft those kind of things, then it's also higher cost to craft them in game too. So
Yes.
I guess that kind of compares to the higher price. But yes, we love the cosmetic stuff.
I'm a big supporter of just the idea that cosmetics are one of the absolute best ways to boost like the profitability of a game, because it affects gameplay zero. If you don't care about the cosmetics, if you don't want to spend extra money on the cosmetics or anything like that, simply don't. You don't need it. You can play the game perfectly fine without it. But if you do like the cosmetic stuff, then you could also help support the game at the same time, which is a fantastic way to keep games up in their longevity.
Yes. Yes. I think especially for, um, you know, I would say sometimes the really big popular games maybe don't necessarily need that. I mean, obviously it does help them, but
Yeah.
I think especially more of like the indie and smaller card games and stuff, that does go a long way for sure. So it does make a difference in terms of that. And I am going to take that to actually transition into our news because the first piece of news here I have is actually about an indie card game that is being worked on right now, which is called Metamancers. And for some of you who have been following, maybe if you remember, like, I think a couple months back, Ron and I each picked a game that was on Kickstarter that we kind of
Hmm.
liked. And this was actually the game that I picked. Unfortunately, it didn't make it that first time. Just because I think it didn't have like very many, followers, very many eyes on it. But I have been following, I've been in the Discord, and man, I am getting so excited for Metamancers. It's looking like a beautiful game. It's very exciting, but they are reattempting the Kickstarter with like some upgraded stuff and new things that I asked in the Discord this morning. So this is what was said here, but hopefully that will be starting later this month in November. And the goal is to have the Kickstarter and then start shipping those cards out like late December into February. So actually, that's a super fast turnaround. Honestly, like if you're looking at Kickstarters, sometimes it's like a year out before you get product. So if we can support that Kickstarter, I am super excited. And there's pretty much only one person working on the game. He's pretty much doing a solo, a creator, or game creator, I guess, from Latin America, and he's working on this. Um, been very, very reactive to the community that's been in the Discord, updating things like the rules. And basically, the way that so far I'm kind of imagining this is if you imagine the format of Flesh and Blood, where you have like you're kind of like main character and hero and a couple other additional things, plus different color schemes and things like that from Magic and a lot of the other card games, plus essentially like crafting, because like the resource that's used is different metals like gold, silver, iron. And I don't know why, but like this just appeals to me as someone who in like World of Warcraft, especially, like I love professions and doing that stuff. So I'm like, oh, is this like a card game version of like being a hero and just like crafting stuff? Like using that as a resource.
It's a cool idea. Even if it's
Yeah.
not, that could be something that a different game explores.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know, like there's a lot of aspects to it that just seem super super cool. The art is great. I'm just very excited for it. So definitely keep your eyes out for that. That will be starting soon, and we'll try to keep everybody updated with that. Uh, Next, we have Hearthstone, which, of course, again, we're going to mention a bit more in our main topic. But the Showdown in the Badlands expansion was announced. I think, honestly, I don't even know if we recorded after it was announced. So
Pretty sure
we've
we
had a couple
didn't.
weeks
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
So
like
that
they
was
announced the
announced.
expansion as we were on a break.
Yeah, yeah. So they announced that, and it is actually launching next week on Tuesday, the 14th. So we are getting very excited for that. For Disney Lorcana, they are getting ready to finish wrapping up all of their reveals because Chapter 2, Rise of the Floodborn, is releasing very, very soon. It will be releasing to LGSs starting November 17th and then releasing more globally and to, retailers, general retailers and stuff on December 1st. So, of course, there's like new they're called glimmers, right? The characters from different Disney universes, the Jungle Book, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and more. But they are, like I said, kind of wrapping up. There's still some reveals and stuff coming out, but they are getting very close to having revealed all of those chapter 2. And it does look like there has been some kind of some restocking of the chapter 1, and it does look like prices are starting to drop a little bit at least. So those are all good signs, and we're hoping that that trend continues, because we definitely want more people to be able to actually get cards for Disney Lorcana, be able to play, and it not be ridiculously expensive and like impossible to get cards. So hopefully that trend continues, and hopefully that there's going to, be more restocking of those cards. And thank you, D Nice, in our live stream says that there is a new unofficial tabletop simulator for Lorcana coming out in beta soon too. Exert Inc. So we'll have to look into that. That's pretty exciting. I know that there has been some other ones, but tabletop simulator is very popular for card games, so not surprising that more people are trying to get into that and have things available for people to even play in a mobile type version or on PC. And that is another great segue into the next piece of news, which is for Soulforge Fusion. The set 3 called The Last Winter is coming very, very soon. And yes, they have been working on a digital version of their game as well. That's, I feel like, almost kind of becoming a standard. People definitely want more eyes on their card games, and that's an easy way to make it a little bit more accessible. I say easy in quotes because making any sort of digital client for a game, definitely not easy. But they are wrapping up their Kickstarter. I think their Kickstarter for that is live for just a few more days. But if you do want like early access to that digital client, it's just $10 to be able to have early access and be able to get into that digital client. And then, of course, there's other kind of Kickstarter levels onto, that you can get additional cards and decks and things like that. So that's very, very exciting. They've been doing a lot of like lead up tournaments through Tabletop Simulator as well, kind of showing off a lot of the new cards and new decks. And the cool thing about this is that even though Soulforge Fusion is a physical game, they are pairing it with that digital client. So you'll be able to like scan the QR code for your physical decks, and basically it will import your physical deck into the digital client version. So you can play on the digital client with the same exact deck that you have in physical form. So if you're wanting to practice for maybe a tournament or it's really cool. So they are working on doing that. And the cool thing is that they're going to release the digital client and set 3 worldwide simultaneously for everybody. So everyone will be on that same starting page, with the 3rd expansion and the digital client all at the same time. So again, that Kickstarter is wrapping up. I think there's just a few days left on that. So, even if you just want to jump in on that Kickstarter for $10 to get the digital client, I think they are offering like a handful of like some digital client only decks. So if you want to jump in and try it out, then you can do that for fairly cheap. And the last piece of news that I have here is for Star Wars Unlimited. I believe we did mention this before, but they have also been working through a lot of their reveals. They've slowly been revealing things, putting out articles about all of their different, like the factions and stuff. But that game is going to be releasing officially on March 8th next year. So March 8th, 2024. I am getting very excited for this one as well. For myself, I know like we got to go to BlizzCon. Again, we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. And now that I've kind of started doing a little bit more in-person stuff, I definitely really want to keep attending things in person, keep working on content, and I definitely would love to do something for the Star Wars Unlimited launch. So if there's any game stores or anybody that would want to work either with myself or maybe Ron and I both collectively. I know you enjoy Star Wars, the Star Wars universe as well. So
yeah, one like little fun fact about me: when I was a kid growing up, before the Star Wars prequels even came out, because I'm old, I watched each of the original trilogy, I think more than 30 times each. I was obsessed with Star Wars, and I've never quite lost the obsession. It's lessened a little bit over time, but yeah, you say Star Wars anything, I'm always gonna perk up, be like, what's going on?
And that's exactly how I feel about card games. I'm like, card game? What? New card game? What? More cards? What? We're doing something? Okay. So, yeah, if there are any sort of, game stores or conventions or anything that will be doing Star Wars related things for the launch or around that time, that would love to work with us, we would definitely love to take part. So please, reach out to us, and we'll see if we can work something out. But I'm sure I will be posting even more about that, trying to really get something going, and put out some content. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that one as well. So tons of different card games, with new sets. And again, as I say, every week, I'm sure there are even more things that have happened over the last few weeks while we've been out that I probably didn't include for other card games, but tons of stuff. So that is what I have this week for our news. But Ron, what do we have for competitive and organized play?
All right. So to start off, in general, we have SCG Con that is going SCG Con Pittsburgh that is going to be happening this weekend, the 10th through the 12th, and that has tons of events throughout the weekend for Magic, for Flesh and Blood, and for Disney Lorcana. So excited to hear what's going to be the result of all of those events going on over the course of this weekend right now. For Hearthstone, it's a little bit of older news, but since we haven't had a show in a little bit, just to mention it, Hearthstone, the Fall Masters Tour Championship happened just a few weeks back, with Pocket Train facing off against McBanterface in the final. And Pocket Train, that's right, previous guest on TCCG Roundtable, Pocket Train, wound up winning the entire thing, which is fantastic. I'm also a big fan of McBanterface. It was bittersweet that one of them, of course, had to lose, but Pocket, absolutely an incredible player and deserved the victory. So he has now clinched his spot for Worlds, which I think he was going to probably get anyway with ladder finishes, but now he doesn't have to play ladder at all, which I'm sure he's pretty excited about.
Still a relief.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
And I think more money for taking first place
and
as well. So
obviously, obviously the prize money. I think at this point, mainly it's the prize money for Worlds is so much more that the goal was always just make Worlds, but nobody's ever going to complain about winning a Masters Tour. So that was good. If anyone would, it would be Pocket being oh, so no, I just don't have to grind. I guess it's fine. Anyway, it was really cool to see. Fantastic event over the last the weekend, a couple weekends past. Moving on to Battle Spirits. Is it Battle Spirits Saga? Yeah, Battle Spirits Saga. Grand open events in November with a grand total of $25,000 in cash prizes and Pro Tour invites are on the line. And for Legends of Runeterra, we've been mentioning this multiple times through our previous shows, but the third World Championship information about the mystery event have already been revealed. The World Championship is just around the corner now, happening December 14th through 16th. There will be 64 players competing, with $157,000 in monetary prizing, in addition to in-game badges, titles, card backs, icons. And the top two players will be the Architects of Legends, the first ones for Legends of Runeterra. They'll have a lasting impact on the game, being able to work directly with devs to create their own follower card for first place and spell card for second place. Also, in just a couple of weeks for Legends of Runeterra, there will be a final last chance qualifier running November 25th through 26th for 2 spots that lead directly to the World Championship in December. And qualifiers from previous Runeterra Opens, the non-Worlds qualifiers from each region, and some creators are going to be invited to a special event in the early part of 2024 at Riot Campus in LAX to get a sneak peek at some of the things planned for 2024. It's fine, Hearthstone players. We're not jealous. Everything's fine. Sounds like a good time over at Legends of Runeterra. And then lastly, of course, for Flesh and Blood, we have the World Championship Barcelona that is happening next weekend, November 17th through the 19th. And that's all I have for now for competitive and organized.
I still can't believe that I mean, I feel like Magic and Flesh and Blood, I mean, are kind of like working hand in hand a little bit, right? But the fact that we had both the Magic the Gathering World Championship earlier this year in Barcelona and the Flesh and Blood World Championship coming up in Barcelona, it's like, man, Barcelona's the place to be this year for card games.
Seriously. Like, just imagine like being interested in card games and already living in Barcelona, and then just all this stuff just comes to you. You're like, hey, it was pretty nice. I'll go to this.
And I would say probably like Japan is the other really big place. I think the Pokemon World Championships were in Japan, and then I think I was looking we'll talk about it a little bit more in like the coming weeks now, but I believe the Battle Spirit Saga World like Championship stuff is coming up early next year, and it's looking like they might be doing something as well. I'm not sure where that's at. I think the Yu-Gi-Oh! Like 25th anniversary, they're doing something early next year in Japan. Like, man, these are just these are the places to be for card games. But we have always these kind of like very exciting like chunks of time for card games, and then it kind of, the kind of like chill like in between stuff, and then like a bunch of stuff happening, and we're kind of getting into that like November into December is kind of like a really hype time. Like January, early February, kind of more calm. And February and March are going to be huge again for card games. Like more card game expansions. I believe again I think in February I think is when the like Yu-Gi-Oh 25th anniversary stuff's happening. Like there's obviously then early March the Star Wars Unlimited is coming out. They're like, oh my gosh, there's just so many things to that time frame. It's going to be very exciting.
All right, so all you have to do if you're really interested in card games is find the lull and then use that time to move to either Spain or Japan. And then just, you'll be all set for when everything ramps up.
Easy. Yes. That's all you have to do.
Yeah,
okay.
That's it. Just pack up your entire life and move to a different country, no big deal.
Oh, yeah. We wish.
Or if you're already living in Spain or Japan, congratulations.
Yeah.
You can relax.
Let us know. And we want to hear about if you've gone to some of these or if you plan to, because that's super cool. But speaking of going to events, Ron, you ready to talk about BlizzCon and get into like our main topic?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's do it. So we don't necessarily have like specific bullet points or anything that we're going to talk about, because this is more, we're going to more talk about like our experiences and things that we, maybe like the information of Hearthstone that we got while we were at BlizzCon, our experience being there, play testing some games, things like that, instead of this being more of like a here's very like bullet pointed strategy or discussion. So this is more of a free flowing conversation. So Ron, first, how was BlizzCon? Like overall, just the overall like experience, and how was it?
BlizzCon was fantastic. I had a great time. It was really cool. Um, Now, interestingly, my favorite part about BlizzCon wasn't really BlizzCon itself. It was the fact that I got to meet so many people that I had only known like in online spaces or like through video calls or something. I got to actually meet those people in real life. And that's just like a really cool experience that, not to take anything away from BlizzCon, but that was always going to be the highlight for me because it transcends like a convention. But the convention itself was fantastic. It was the designs of all the different areas were really cool. It was chaotic as hell. There were so many people. Oh my god. Um, it was like we got all these cool new announcements. There were games to look at. There's a new game. There's new modes. Just overwhelming amounts of information, overwhelming amounts of people and things to do, and like you can be like 10 feet away from somebody that you know and completely miss them because it's just like there's so much going on. But it was fantastic, and if you've never gone to a convention for like a particular thing that you really enjoy, I would highly recommend it at least once as like a life experience to just, I don't know, bask in the madness of everything that's happening.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely relate to the like being close to people, that you're like, or even like walking past someone and you're like, I think that
Yep.
was, and now they're gone. Okay. But I think I'm pretty sure that was, so it's a like popular streamer, or I think that was another content creator that I know. And like, you just see
Yeah.
them and you're like, and it's
Oh,
gone. Okay. But like, oh, I
as
think I
as an
saw them.
example, as an example, right before the opening ceremony, me and my brother and Neji, I think, were walking through like the Hearthstone tavern, and we're going one direction, and the going the other direction is Swaybe. And I was like, "Oh, hey, it's Swaybe," and like I said hi to her real briefly, but we were in a hurry, and she was probably in a hurry. And we're like, "Oh, we'll probably catch you later." I literally never saw her again.
Yes, yes. I also had a similar experience with Jambray. So during the second day of BlizzCon, we actually had I did get to hang out with Sway for a little bit. We did try to get like a group of us Hearthstone women for the like badass women of Hearthstone.
Mhm.
We tried to get as many. I think there was like 10 or 12 of us. So we got like a big group picture of a bunch of us women together. It was super awesome. We all like chatted for like an hour. So I got to meet Baby Bear and we were hanging out, and then like we wrapped up, and then like 20 minutes after we finished that, I think it was like, oh, there's dev signing. So I was standing in line to get signatures from Hearthstone devs, and Jean Bray walks past, and I just like, hey, like I waved at him, and he's like, oh, hey, dragonrider, and then just like I was like, I gave him a hug, and then like never saw
Yeah.
him again. But like that was me
Yeah.
meeting Jean Bray. I'm like, hey,
I had the same experience with Baby Bear actually, where like it was John Bray and Baby Bear together that were standing like away from a spot that I was where I was in line, and it was too far to like try to say hi or anything. So just like, oh, I see them. Oh, I want to say hi, but also this line is really long, and I can't lose my place in line just to like run go say hi to them. So I never actually got to meet Baby Bear in person. Later on, which was kind of fortunate, I wound up getting to have a beer with John Bray. So that was awesome. It was a whole crew of people. It was like Cantaloupe and Clark and Neji was with me, and McBanterface was there, and Fino and Tyler. And we were all at a bar together, which was like crazy loud. So then my voice hurt for like a day afterwards because we were in the bar for like 2 hours shouting at each other. Unfortunately, like John Bray and Fino and Tyler all kind of left like pretty much very shortly after I showed up because they had been there for like a lot longer than I had. But then the rest of the crew kind of stayed for a bit longer. Oh, and Warshak was there too. Yeah, it was cool. It was
nice.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of like you said, chaos and hecticness, and like either meeting people like literally like that, like as you're passing and be like, hi, like, okay,
Mhm.
oh, it's great to meet
Yeah.
you. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like that was the meeting. Or it was like trying to get on Discord or Twitter or something and like try to coordinate with people. Like, okay, let's meet at like, because that's what we did with the group of women. It was like, all right, let's all meet at the Hearthstone Tavern, like at 1 o'clock. But then we even like we weren't even sure where to meet each other, and there were so many people that like half of us were standing against like the side wall and half of us were standing over by like the fireplace area, and there was people in between, so we didn't see each other. So we were like, where is everybody? And then we had to communicate the like, hey, we're like,
Yeah.
20 feet basically away from you, just like on this other side of this group of people.
I mean,
It's
everything was
hilarious.
confusing, and meeting
Yeah.
areas are hard too. Personally, I blame the Milton.
Oh my God. Oh, all right. Like, okay, now we have to share that story. So yes, so on Friday night after the convention, we had planned for myself, Ron, Smarms, Send Me Your Arms, and Neji to all meet, and then we were gonna go and have pizza as like an AFG, pizza thing. Of Ron's brother, my husband. So we're like, okay, like let's meet outside the hotel that's like right next to the convention. And Smarms was staying at the Hilton. I was like, okay, cool, like we'll meet right outside the Hilton. Well, I didn't apparently know which one was the Hilton, and I was like, okay, let's like walk across right there and stand outside this hotel door. And yeah, so we're standing there, and then I'm like messaging Smarms. I'm like, we're right outside the door. She's like, okay, I'll be down in just a second. And then she's like, a few minutes later, she's like, where are you all? I'm like, we're right outside the door. And we're looking at each other like, we're right here. Like, I don't understand. And then, yeah, and then Ron points and is like, wait, that big sign right behind you is
Wait,
an
there's a
M.
big old M. There's a big old M on this
We're supposed
hotel.
to go to the Hilton.
Hold up.
That's an M. Don't think the Hilton starts with an M. So yeah, that just became our running meme that it's like, oh, we're going to the Milton instead of the Hilton. Oops, because Don went to the wrong hotel front door.
To be fair,
so...
there were hotels like literally everywhere. Like everywhere you went, there was a hotel. So, like the Hilton was like literally directly across the street from the Marriott that we actually like walked to by mistake. So it was a very
Yeah.
easily corrected mistake. But of course, I had to just keep
Yeah.
teasing you about the Milton.
Oh,
the
it
whole
was
time.
hilarious. And then I was like, I don't know where we're going. And then my GPS, like I had it set to walk instructions so we could like walk to the pizza place. But then it kept like having an error or something, and it was telling me that we were going the wrong direction. So I was like, I don't know where
You know
we're
what?
going.
It
And
did
like,
the same thing to me
it was
later.
weird.
When I think it was me and Neji walking to like the bar that we were going to like later that night. And when I pulled up like the GPS for me on walking directions, it just told me I was going the wrong direction when I wasn't. I don't even know. That I don't blame you for that one. That one's not on you. That was the tech that was failing you for sure.
And I was like, I don't know. And then Neji and my husband, they were like, no, I think this is right. Like, let's go this way. And I was like, okay, like I don't know, we'll figure it out, I guess. And yeah, well, luckily that was correct. My GPS was definitely messing up, but I was like, I'm standing in front of the wrong hotel. I'm trying to lead everybody the wrong way. It was like, good thing I'm not like the leader of the group, or like the CEO founder of the team. Good thing. Whoops.
Hey, directions and founding things totally different.
It was it's so much easier to just work on leading and organizing a group of people than it is to apparently stand in front of the correct hotels. I don't know. Easy
Like I
things are
said,
hard.
I
don't
blame
know why.
I blame the Milton.
Yeah. So, I feel like just a lot of moments like that just sums up the entire like BlizzCon experience. Like it was just a bunch of like getting to meet people, hanging out, having like hilarious moments like that. And you know, when I've watched BlizzCon online, they always have, kind of a a somewhat sappy, I'd say, like opening, at least segment of like the opening ceremony, where they're like, this is for all of you, and like, we love our players, and like getting to meet in person. But when you actually do get to meet in person, it's like, this is the experience, right? Like,
Yeah.
this, we've played games and we've chatted, we do these podcasts, all this stuff for potentially years with some of these people. And then it's like, we're actually getting to meet them in person. And it's like, this is cool. This is the moment. Um,
And the
uh,
developers too, like the
yeah.
poster right behind you.
Yes, yeah. On screen, I do have I framed it, but we got a new. It's well the showdown in the Badlands, like little poster. I had a whole bunch of different Hearthstone devs sign it. I counted 35. I have 35 different dev
Wow.
signatures on there. I went through that line across
I
both
didn't even know
days
there were
multiple
35
times.
devs.
Oh
That's
yeah, and
wild.
that's only a portion of them. Yeah, I was like, I am taking this chance to like get to chat and at least get a signature from as many of them as possible. There's probably still a
I
few
love
that
it.
I missed, but yeah, like getting to meet other creators or getting to meet people that you've known, that you've played with, getting to meet some of the developers was super super awesome, and getting to like hear their perspective about stuff too was super cool. I know like the first day of the convention when I went through the line, um, like Celestalon had kind of mentioned, I wanted to try to do something for the devs, and Celestalon pretty much was like, what you can do for us is like just talk about the game, like ask us, what we love about the game and say something that you love. So it's like, okay. So pretty much I was trying to ask as many of them like, what do you love about the game? And there was different answers, but some of the devs, one common answer that I got the first day was a lot of them were like, I really like how the game doesn't take itself too seriously. Right, like it's
Hmm.
kind of based on Warcraft, and there's these serious characters and it's different stuff, but also there's like this fun aspect. There's this goofiness, and it makes the game just feel more fun and more relatable for a lot of players. And even when it is competitive or more serious, there still is that goofiness and fun to it. And it's like that's cool to hear that like the devs really like that too, because that can be a really like stressful time as well. So working on games and doing that, so to be able to actually uh, hear that the devs enjoy like the fun side of it was really cool.
Absolutely, yeah. It was just a blast, like meeting devs, meeting different creators, like just a whole lot of different things that BlizzCon put on. And the scenery, like there was this whole Hearthstone tavern that was really cool. There wasn't a lot to do at some of the spots, which was maybe one of the few complaints, I guess. Like the Diablo area was one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen at like a convention, but also there was like nothing to do there. So it was like you go there and you look and you marvel at how cool it looks, and then you're like, okay, now I'm done, I guess. And you move on to like the next spot. I would have liked to stay there for longer and like play something from Diablo, like some kind of demo or other thing. Maybe it's too difficult to put on. Maybe it's not the type of game that lends itself to that as much. But each area had its own like dedicated theme and had lots of really cool statues up for different characters, and like just the way that the effort that they put in to make it look like it did, like it was impressive. So that was a really really cool aspect of it.
Yes, yeah. I thank you for bringing up the Diablo area because I do want to bring this up. Uh, I first of all have to say I do feel like the Diablo Hall, the Diablo area, was the absolute best like environment and like
Oh yeah.
decor and all that stuff. I mean, it was like the lighting was kind of low, but then they had like this all these red lights and these like candles throughout, right? And like this lighting, so it made you feel like you were kind of in that like that dark dungeony type world of Diablo, and that was just awesome. It was super super cool. I do have a Twitter thread for anybody interested as well. I put the links into our live chats. But I put together like a huge thread with a ton of different pictures, like from the convention, people that I met, different experiences. So if you didn't get to go, but you want to check out some pictures and stuff, definitely you can check that out. But the Diablo area, I feel like, was the coolest looking area. I did have one huge problem though, which I was so excited before the convention. They had talked about, we're gonna have these tattoo artists, right? Hell's Ink is coming to BlizzCon. We're gonna have, tattoos, complimentary tattoos for BlizzCon attendees. Yes. That felt, yeah. How do I say this without a bunch of cursing and expletives? Yeah, it was. I feel like very, very poorly organized, very poorly run for that aspect of the convention. Very miscommunicated. There was. We stood in line. Okay, so first they're like, this is a first come, first serve. So we're like, okay, well, we want to be there early, right? They were letting people on the first day into the building, basically in waves. There was kind of miscommunication about when the doors would even open, when things started. It was kind of confusing. Like nobody really knew like when the doors were going to open. Like when do we go in the building? Then it was like, okay, when we were in the initial first group, we were up at the front, luckily, but we got into the building and then we made our way down to the Diablo hall and then we stood in another line to wait until the hall doors were open so we could actually get into the Diablo area.
Oh, there were so many lines.
I was like, okay. And then as soon as those doors opened, like everybody rushed in and the Hell's Ink tattoo area was immediately to the left. So basically there was just a huge mob of people that all just rushed immediately to the left and just kind of not even really made a line. Everybody just kind of clumped over in that area. And then they had people trying to organize the line, but it felt like there was, again, miscommunication. One person told us, oh, there's only going to be 60 people today tattooed. And we're like, what?
You're like, you know how many people are attending, right?
30 to 40,000 people at the convention, and you're only letting 60 people a day do this? And then somebody else said, oh, no, it's 80 per day. Then somebody else said,
huge.
Yeah, okay. Then somebody else told us, no, it's 80 total, 40 per day. And we're getting multiple different answers. They didn't seem to
You're getting multiple different answers, and all of them suck.
Yeah,
all of them are horrible answers.
What is this? And then they tried to have the line right for this tattoos, but ultimately I think people still just kind of cut in line. People kind of went and found somebody. They're like, oh, cool, my friends are in this line and I'm just gonna go up to the front. And then at one point they told us, oh, you'll be in the group that's actually on the wait list. And then after a little while, they said, oh, no, pretty much that we don't even think we're going to get to the wait list people. So we don't even think you have a chance to get on the wait list. And then they told us 5-10 minutes after that, yeah, it doesn't look like you're even going to get on the wait list at all. So at that point, we were like, we've stood here for 40 minutes in this line now, after standing in the other line for another 40 minutes, after standing out front in that line for an hour. And it's like, okay, we're just gonna leave and go find a place to try to sit to watch the opening ceremony.
Because if you had waited any longer, then you wouldn't have really had any seating room for the opening ceremony too.
Yeah, which, and I mean, there was limited seating anyways in all the areas.
Well, yeah, I mean, me and Neji and my brother, we wanted to try to find you guys in the Overwatch area, and then we're like, it's too big. I don't know where they are. There probably won't be a seat anyway. Yeah. I remember you you messaged Neji good luck when he's like, we're gonna try to find you and find a seat, and then Neji's like, that seems like it's not gonna go well for us. So we'll just set up here, and so we just sat on the floor and watched a broadcast.
Yeah, so I was really really bummed because it was, obviously like you hear that and you see on the websites and all that, like, oh, like complimentary tattoos for attendees,
Hmm.
and they're doing this, and then it's like first come first serve. It's like, okay, well obviously like we want to get over there, and then it just turned into like a, oh yeah, like barely anybody is getting anything, and there's like no, it was chaos. Like there's no actual order, there's no, anything like, and I feel bad because like some of the crew that was there, it really just felt like they had no idea what was going on, and they were stressed, and it was chaotic, and they
Yeah.
probably didn't expect it to be like that stressful. And like there was one guy in front of us who even like asked, they're like, "Do you want me to like shout?" Because they were like, they kept trying to say, "We need everybody to like form a single file line and everybody needs to move back." And so there was this guy in front of us who literally like shouted at the top of his lungs. He's like, "This nice lady needs everyone to move back and forth." Like he was like yelling, like, because it was so chaotic, and like nobody could hear anything. And even when they were trying to yell, it was just like it was it was
Yeah.
just like a hot mess. And yeah,
Complimentary
then
tattoos for
yeah,
0.001% of
yes.
attendees.
So
Hooray.
sad. Didn't get one. Really wanted one, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll pay my tattoo artist to do something cool. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean the other, like I said though, the Diablo area itself was, to me at least, like the hands down best decorated area. It was super awesome. It really did feel like you were kind of in Sanctuary, like in that universe. Yeah, it was just like a madhouse of just rushing between areas, trying to catch panels or trying to get info, trying to stand in line for dev signatures, trying to stand in line to
Yep.
play test stuff. And I guess we can segue now into talking about Hearthstone specifically. So for Hearthstone, we had already gotten the announcement of the expansion before BlizzCon happened, and we already were getting card reveals. They did reveal the last bit of cards, at BlizzCon, and talk about that. So we kind of got the last of the cards for the set revealed. Then they announced catch-up packs, which hilarious name. But the catch-up packs are essentially standard packs that will hold up to 50 cards each pack, for players who maybe haven't logged in for a while or who are returning. And how many cards you get is kind of based on like your collection. So there's a whole like blog post explaining all those details, but they're really kind of meant for like people to kind of come back into the game or be able to get a lot of cards at once in those packs, to be able to get caught up with standard cards.
I mean, it's a pretty incredible change and like an amazing introduction to getting back into Hearthstone for anyone who's like had a break, or even like new players getting into Hearthstone. Like you won't have much of a collection, so those packs can be just massively important to build your collection. For people who have already been playing Hearthstone for a while and are like really engaged in Hearthstone, um, it kind of doesn't really do anything for us, but I mean that's fine. Like as long as the game is healthy and like brings in new players and has a thriving player base, that's what's important. So like it's better for I guess the community at large. But that was one of the only, to me, like really disappointing parts about the Hearthstone aspect of BlizzCon, was that like there's not really anything for the people who have been playing Hearthstone for a really long time, who want like standard constructed Hearthstone, something new or interesting, different. Give us announcements about esports, tell us you're not killing the program, all of whatever it might be. There were hopes for what it could mean for Hearthstone and or standard constructed Hearthstone, and we got essentially nothing. But there were a lot of other really cool things, especially with like battlegrounds and stuff.
Yes. So Then they also did announce Battlegrounds Duos, which is a new format, a new mode that will be coming out. They said, early next year. Not really sure exactly what that timeline looks like, but that's going to be coming. And basically, it's still Battlegrounds, and it's still total 8 people, but it's groups of 4 partners. And
Or 2 partners?
well, yeah, 4 partners, 4 partner groups. So
Oh, right, yeah,
like
my bad.
To like 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's still Battlegrounds, but instead of playing like 1v1 against, all the other 7 people in the lobby, you're grouped with a partner, and then basically you and your duo, your partner, are against the other 3 groups of pairs. And it was really exciting, like, to see that announced, and it was like, okay, this is cool. And my perspective, at least when it was announced, I was like, okay, so it's just like a different form of Battlegrounds. Sure. Like, it kind of looks fun, but okay.
I
Then
mean,
I played the demo.
you played it, right? Yeah.
And I played the demo, and I went, holy crap, this is exciting. This is super fun. It feels just enough like Battlegrounds that, like, if you've played Battlegrounds, you kind of know what you're doing, like taverning up or buying a minion. But it also, like, strategic wise, and like the process and working with your duo partner definitely made it feel very different. So that, like, I was kind of excited for it when they announced it, but getting to actually try it and see it in action, it was way more exciting than
Oh, yeah.
just the announcement at the opening ceremony. So that was
'Cause
really
honestly, for me, honestly, like, I was disappointed. I was just straight up disappointed. I'm like, oh, cool. It's a thing for a game mode that I don't play. Well, that's sad. Okay, move on. But then, like, I got to actually try it because I had to try it and see what it was like. So me and my brother played the duos thing together, and that just in and of itself, that was really fun. That I got to like team up with my brother and do a whole like battlegrounds thing, but it almost felt like a different game mode, and it was so cool and fun that, like, I mean, I don't really play battlegrounds ever, and I probably won't play solo battlegrounds at all. It's not really my thing. But duos battlegrounds, like, I can definitely see myself like doing like Discord voice calls with people and like doing a little duos run. That could be something to do on stream. That could be a really good time. Like, there's a lot of things that look awesome with duos battlegrounds. It's almost like a different mode, even just with how different it plays from regular battlegrounds. You share health with your teammate, and you have to keep like figuring out, and it's complicated. I mean, I'm bad at regular battlegrounds. This is like a whole different level of opportunities to screw up, right? So there's that. But if you're good, and especially if you're good with someone else in tandem, you can be really good at this game mode. And there are ways you can break the hell out of the game. And it was so much fun. You like buy different minions and you have to transfer them to your partner's side, and they might play it or they might not, because once you play it, you can't transfer it back. And just depth and levels of nuance in the game itself that don't exist in regular battlegrounds that are just so cool. I was blown away because I was like, okay, I'm not really going to be interested in this. And then I played it and I'm like, I'm kind of interested in this. So that's about the strongest recommendation I can give for Battlegrounds Duos is I didn't want to play it. And then I played it and I'm like, okay, I want to play it.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I really kind of feel like maybe was a missed opportunity, and I don't know if there's even something they could have done for this, but I feel like if I were just watching from home, if I were just watching, BlizzCon from home, and then they just announced it, I probably would have been like, oh, okay, cool. Like, maybe that kind of looks cool, but like, that's about, like, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And they did have streamers that they brought into BlizzCon. The streamers had multiple hour-long streams, of being able to actually play the Battlegrounds duos and show it off to like their audience. And then of course people at BlizzCon got to play it. But again, both of us had that same experience of when we saw the announcement, it was like, okay, but getting to try it, it felt completely different. And I think in past BlizzCons, when they have announced big stuff like this, it's usually very close to being released, right? Or they'll do something to like give people a chance at it or try it out. They've announced like one of the very early BlizzCons that Hearthstone was at, right? They announced the I think it was League of Explorers, the League of Explorers like adventure, right? And then it was like, by the way, that's coming out next week. So it was really cool, like for everybody to be like, oh, cool, like huge announcement, and like it's coming. But this kind of felt like, hey, there's this cool thing that's coming like in a couple months. And that's it. Like, if you're just watching from online, like, that's it. I was like, oh, okay. I really do wish that there was a way for them have let people have even like a 24-hour period where like, or a couple days or something where it's like, hey, like here's this early access for everybody to try out. Or even if they tied it, honestly, even if they tied it to the BlizzCon goodie bundles, hey, everybody that has the legendary BlizzCon bundle will have 3 days of access to this. So that people who didn't want to stand in line at BlizzCon for, an hour just to play a 15-minute game could have had the chance to play it, or people at home could have had the chance to play it. And I think that would have really helped build up the hype a lot more.
For sure.
So yeah. I do kind of wish that they'd done something like that. But also, I know you and I have talked about this a little bit. In especially, I think, contrast to the other games announcements, Hearthstone did feel a little bit underwhelming. Because you had like, okay, first of all, you had World of Warcraft, right? Who, hello, Chris Metzen's back, which everybody loves Chris Metzen. And you had multiple, multiple expansions and all this stuff announced for that. Like, that's super hype. Overwatch announced a ton of stuff and like super cool things. There was an entirely new game with Warcraft Rumble. Like, that's really hype and exciting. Right. And then you had Hearthstone that was kind of like, hey, here's this thing that's coming in the future.
And like Diablo, I thought was also a little like underwhelming too. It wasn't just Hearthstone that had probably the smallest amount of like hype from BlizzCon. Like Diablo, their big thing was there's going to be a new expansion for Diablo 4. But they didn't tell you anything about it at all. They gave you a trailer that was like a cinematic where someone's talking and you see like the camera panning through the forest and then you see the title card. It's like, that gave me that is the smallest amount that could be anything. You gave me nothing here to go off of. So like, I mean, I felt like Diablo 4, but it already has like enough of a fan base. It's like excited about it. It's a very recently released game. So obviously like they didn't need to do as much. Hearthstone over here is a 10-year-old game, and the BlizzCon thing, we haven't had a BlizzCon in, forever live. And the big thing that they're talking about was or at least for standard, like the big thing was there's a new expansion coming, like we had the previous 3 months and the previous 3 months and the previous one and the previous one and the previous. You see the pattern. You knew the expansion was coming, but hey, guess what? Expansion is coming. Like, okay. And like, but the Battlegrounds duos thing is actually really cool. I just personally, as someone who wishes that esports and Hearthstone wasn't just like completely dead / dying, I was very much hoping for some kind of rejuvenating news and didn't get that. So there were elements that were disappointing, but the game itself, and especially like, I guess their other big thing was catch-up packs, which is fantastic for new players and returning players. and that's good for the long-term health of the game. So you can still be encouraged in a lot of ways by like the future of Hearthstone, even if there were things that we were hoping for that we didn't hear.
Yeah. So I have a theory about the timing of stuff. And I think for Hearthstone, again, like this kind of felt unfortunate. Again, because in comparison to some of the other games, it felt like the other games had massive announcements, and Hearthstone was just kind of like,
Yeah.
here's this thing, like, and maybe for Hearthstone it feels big, but like maybe it's not as big as like, here's 3 new expansions and Chris Metzen, like, right? Like that's
Right.
kind of a huge thing. But also they announced the expansion beforehand. I think if Hearthstone had announced the expansion and the duos and all this stuff at BlizzCon, I think it would have felt more like a BlizzCon announcement. Like I think it would have felt a lot more hype.
Yeah. I don't know why they announced the expansion so
So
soon before
this is
BlizzCon.
part of
You
my
could have just
theory.
withheld it until then.
Yeah, so this is part of my theory is that also now Cora mentioned it on the stage. And for fans of us, like for, us fans who are like very involved, like you mentioned, it's 10 years old in March. March, it's 10 years old. Okay. Cora mentioned that in passing, right? Next year, we're
Mhm.
hitting 10 years. I think what they're going to do is I think that they're going to shift slightly the expansion releases, like just, because it feels like they've started moving that way. The expansions are kind of coming out 2 to 3 weeks earlier than they were in the past. And I think that they're going to keep up with that. And I think instead of April, we're going to get March. But I think that they're going to announce a lot more stuff for their 10-year anniversary as opposed to those things being announced at BlizzCon. And so with the transitioning of expansions coming out slightly early and setting up for their 10-year, anniversary, BlizzCon falling kind of right in between that, I think made it also where like they didn't want to announce too much, so they like announced something, but
That's a
more
good
is
theory.
coming. That's my
Yeah.
theory, and I think it just
That's a
kind of ended
very
up like
good theory.
feeling kind of crappy, like their the timing. But that's my theory is I think that there is going to be more coming for the 10-year anniversary, and that they're going to be doing that stuff. Battlegrounds Duos is going to release. There's probably going to
It,
be something else, and
that
they're setting
theory,
people up for it, right?
that
Like that's why
theory
they
is
did the catch-up
also.
packs now.
Ooh, it's like you remember how I said don't try not to get your hopes up too much before BlizzCon. Now you're killing me with this
I'm
theory.
sorry. That's
You're just gonna get my hopes up again for March, and then I'm gonna be like all hyped for March, and then in March they're gonna be like, we have big news, guys. There's a new expansion for Standard. That's it.
I'm sorry.
That's it. It's the whole. It's
This
the
is
whole
my
news.
theory. All right. Okay, all right. Celestalon, Cora, Hat, all of the devs. I know someone is watching or listening to this, or you will end up seeing a clip or something. Please don't make me wrong.
I've been hurt before.
Please. I need to feel right
Yeah.
about this. Don't make it
Yeah.
so that I just like let everybody down, please. But so that's my theory is that I think for Hearthstone, the timing of BlizzCon with their other announcements, plus kind of slightly a bit being overshadowed by the super hype announcements for their other, other universes, other games, I think made it feel a little bit bad. And again, as we mentioned with the Battlegrounds duos, it was a cool announcement, but it actually felt really great to play. So just seeing the
Yes.
announcement versus actually getting to play it and try it felt like 2 completely different things. So again, I feel like all of that combined slightly made the Hearthstone feel a little bit worse in terms of like that's not really I think what a lot of people kind of expect. I know we've talked about expectations and we're bringing it up now, but like I think a lot of people might have not felt like that hype, that BlizzCon hype, like this is BlizzCon, right? Like this is BlizzCon. This is when they announce super cool stuff. This is when they get people hyped. And I'm not sure if Hearthstone quite did that to most people's expectation this time around.
Yeah.
Okay. We got through that. That was my theory. I just had to say that.
Yeah.
I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right.
And then it's not in the realm of card games quite so much, but just bears mentioning, like, they did announce a new game to Warcraft Rumble, which
Yeah.
I think they had go live like immediately on the announcement. A lot of people had been playing like the beta and stuff, but now like officially it's underway. And I tried that game and I played a decent amount of it, and it was pretty fun. My brother got instantly addicted to it and played like a bunch of hours on that game, and he's still playing it like constantly right now. So like it's a hit of a game. People compare it to like Clash Royale.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
but something to check out if you like that type of gameplay. It's like a tower defense type of thing with, um, like miniature brawlers. My brother compared it to like a very miniaturized version of Heroes of the Storm, which he used to love. So something like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool, and if you're into that kind of gameplay, then it's definitely something to check out too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been enjoying it too. I think I played it probably the first night, like after we all went out for pizza, and then my husband and I went back to the hotel room, and then I was like, okay, I'm installing
Time to play Rumble.
Diablo. Time to like lay in bed in the hotel room and play some Rumble until I go to sleep. And yeah, we ended up we actually drove out from the middle of the United States. So we had a 16-hour drive each way. But yeah, by the time we were like getting back, like I could tell there were times where I was like, I just want this road trip to be over so I could just like I even want to stop, like let's just stop at a gas station so that I could like go to the bathroom, and then I want to play some Rumble for a little bit. Like can we just like pause? I just like want to stop our drive so I can play
Yeah.
some Rumble, like, and then we can continue. So yeah, I've definitely been enjoying it as well. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm just in terms of the Hearthstone stuff, like I said, I think all of those kind of things made it feel like maybe slightly underwhelming, but I had an absolute blast with the duos. I know you played it. Smarms went through the line like multiple times. I think she got to play it like 5 or 6 times.
Nice.
Like, yeah, like it's a freaking blast and it was awesome. Super fun. So definitely I hope that early next year comes really really fast so that we can play that, but also I have a feeling that the timing of that is also going to be in that February March time where we talked about is already like going to be massive for card games with multiple other card games coming out, Star Wars Unlimited launching, like
A
other
lot of stuff.
things.
Yeah.
So it's going to be probably a very hectic and chaotic time in March and February and March for card games, I expect. Oh, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun, and I know there are some people in our live chat who are kind of sharing that sentiment of, maybe they're not as big into battlegrounds, but they do wish that there was something like duos for standard. And I really do hope that this is like a very popular thing. And I know like other card games have, very similar things, right? You have like two-headed giant in Magic, some different other like formats. You can play like those multiplayer, not just 1v1 in a lot of other card games as well. And people have definitely wanted that for Hearthstone for a long, long time. Probably almost as long as the game's been out.
Yeah.
So I really do hope that if this like Battlegrounds duos is very successful and popular, I hope that they do try something, even if it's like try a tavern brawl. They kind of have tried the tavern brawl thing, and maybe it's just harder to do an actual like duo or something like that format with how the UI and stuff is for like standard. But I do hope that they would kind of take this and try it in the other form, like in a constructed type format, because I know a lot of people would really, really be clamoring for that. So I hope this is popular, and I really would love to see them transfer that, excitement, that hype from Battlegrounds and try it in like a constructed format too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, is there anything else that you want to mention from BlizzCon before we do our wrap up?
I mentioned it before as we were talking about it, but just to repeat it one more time, if there is a convention for anything that you really enjoy, whether it be, card games, Blizzard games like BlizzCon, any other thing like that, I would highly recommend, if you haven't had a convention experience, to go to at least one. Get that life experience of the pure chaos that is a convention. I mean, hopefully you don't get sick. There's a chance that happens, which is one of the possible negatives, but it is just the spectacle. The spectacle is something that I can't really compare to most other things that I've experienced in my life. And it's just levels of excitement and interest that are off the scale in comparison to like other things that are typical in like our everyday lives. So I think conventions are really, really cool, and I would always recommend try it at least one time and check it out and see what it's like.
Yes, yes, absolutely agree. Even finding like I feel like TCG Con, for example, is something, or Dream Hacks, that especially for card games, sometimes they're a little smaller and not 30, 40,000 people at least, or whatever BlizzCon was. Like, they're oftentimes a little bit less than that. So if you do want something even like a little bit more chill, try to find more like local events or things like that, that you can try out. Uh, because sometimes like I've gone to them. My husband doesn't really like them. He really likes the more like packed, crowded, like, because there is more of that like hype, that chaotic, like there's just tons of people here. But sometimes I like the more like just kind of chill, like there's still a lot of people, but not like that many people. So you can kind of breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So definitely, or even now we're getting, like we just mentioned earlier in the competitive news section, right? Where like SCG Con Pittsburgh this weekend, where they're having Magic the Gathering and Flesh and Blood and Disney Lorcana. Like there's starting to be these different conventions that are like putting multiple different card games and stuff together too. So,
Quick,
definitely
book a
try
ticket to
these out
Pittsburgh right now. Go, go, go.
right now.
You might catch the last couple days.
Yeah, exactly. But like there's a lot more things like that are starting to come around and starting to happen. So yeah, if you do get the chance, definitely again recommend, like you said, any of those kinds of things. But especially if you're a fan of card games, checking out something like TCG Con, or checking out, the SCG Con, or anything like those that's focused on card games specifically. Lots of fun.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right. So with that, I believe that takes us to the end of our show. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. And if you or someone you know would be interested in joining us, please reach out to us. You can email us at tccgroundtable@protonmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, TCCG Roundtable. You can use our top pinned tweet for a link to our Discord, or use the link in the description or show notes. You can check out the video version. We stream it live on YouTube, and also you can find it later. dragonrider TCCG. And you can find us everywhere you find audio podcasts. Also, you can help support us directly while getting some sweet merch like playmats and other card game accessories with our Inked Gaming affiliate, the link which you can also follow in the description and show notes. And you can find us individually. Dawn, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at DonnieDK. That's DAWNIEDK. And you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. And again, now that Twitch is allowing and it's fine to do multi-streaming, multi-platform streaming, yeah, we're gonna be doing this show both on Twitch and YouTube. Typically every Friday is when we record, but we'll hope to keep everyone posted. So definitely check out Twitch and YouTube, dragonrider TCCG. And if you are really interested in Hearthstone, especially standard Hearthstone, I also do another podcast every week called the Dr. 3HS podcast, where we focus on standard Hearthstone and helping people get better at standard.
Yeah, I'm planning on crashing that one too.
Yes, we're going to have you on very soon. I'm very excited. So yeah, speaking of that, where can people find you besides in a couple of weeks on the Dr. 3 podcast?
So you can find me on Twitter at Ron_HS. You can find me on YouTube at RonMexico HS. And you can find me on Twitch streaming every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 7 p.m. Eastern until around midnight Eastern at RonMexico HS. And that is it for our show. Again, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will see you at the roundtable.